and Elijah. Guess who's back with another edition of Make Room for Elisa. If you're not caught up, you better go back and watch the videos that I've sent you because we are near the very end of the book, at which time Elisa's mother had just had a new baby. So if you haven't gotten to that part yet, then you might need to go back and get caught up. So where we left off, Elisa and her brother Russell were going to the hospital to see their new baby brother for the very first time. "Which one is Marshall?" asked Elisa as they looked through the window of the nursery. "He's that big one on the end," said her father proudly. Russell and Elisa stared at their new brother. The truth was, he didn't look so very different from most of the other babies. "Why is he wearing a hat inside the hospital?" asked Elisa. All the babies had little caps on their heads. "To keep his head warm, silly," said Russell. "My head is warm without a hat," Elisa said. "That's because you have hair." "Doesn't Marshall have any hair?" Elisa asked. "Very little," said their father. "You were bald for a long time when you were a baby," their grandmother said, remembering. "I was?" Elisa rubbed her head in amazement. She had seen her baby pictures, but she couldn't really believe that she once had been bald. Next, they went into the room to visit their mother. She was sitting up in the hospital bed, and she looked just like always, except her stomach was much flatter than it had been the day before. "How do you like your baby brother?" she asked, as she gave Elisa and Russell each a big hug. "He's okay," said Russell. "I'm glad he's a boy." "He's wearing a hat to keep his head warm, because he doesn't have any hair," Elisa told her mother. Their grandmother put the flowers they had brought into a glass vase, which one of the nurses gave her. Mr. Michaels handed his wife the bag with the ice cream. "We brought you a little treat," he said. Mrs. Michaels opened the bag, and then she removed the plastic lid from the container. "My favorite flavor," she said, smiling. "Do you want a taste?" she asked the children. And here is a full-page picture of Elisa and Russell and Elisa's father and grandmother at the hospital bed with Elisa's mother while she's eating her ice cream. Though both Russell and Elisa loved ice cream, neither of them liked it with nuts inside, so they both said no. "Good," laughed their mother. "There's more for me." "We're going to stop and buy ourselves some chocolate ice cream on the way home," said Mr. Michaels. Russell and Elisa broke into grins. That was a surprise they hadn't expected. All day Saturday they were busy getting ready for Mrs. Michaels' return home. Their grandmother put a clean sheet on the crib for the baby. Mr. Michaels went out and bought more flowers for the apartment. Elisa started making more signs. Soon there were signs in the bathroom, the kitchen, her parents' bedroom, and the living room too. They all said, "Welcome home, Mommy." In the late afternoon, Mr. Michaels went down to the lobby of their building with Russell and Elisa and the banner and some thumbtacks. Mr. Harvey lent Mr. Michaels a ladder, and he was able to put up the banner. It looked wonderful hanging on the wall. Russell and Elisa were very proud of their handiwork. They knew their mother would be very surprised to see such a giant banner waiting to greet her when she arrived home the next morning. Henry the doorman agreed. He looked up at their banner and admired it. "Your mother will just love that," he said, smiling at the children. On Sunday morning, Elisa woke in her new bedroom extra early. She was very excited that her mother was coming home today. She was also excited that her baby brother would be coming home too. Elisa got out of bed and put on her furry bedroom slippers. She wanted to peek in Marshall's room, and imagine what it would look like when he was in it. All right, well, you'll have to tune in next time to find out what happens when baby brother Marshall comes home. Will Elisa think it's this, or this? I can still remember the day that your mom came home from the hospital as a little baby, and I thought it was this. I love you guys and miss you. See you next time on Make Room for Elisa.